I am sitting in my car right now, parked outside the apartment I used to call home. In my hand is a 2-carat engagement ring that cost me 3 months of salary. I keep replaying that moment in my head. Lauren standing there with that smirk on her face, arms crossed, saying those words. "You think you are my only option." She expected me to apologize like I always did, but this time I had an answer that wiped that smile right off her face. Before I tell you what happened, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If this story resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. Now, let me take you back to where this all began, and you will understand why I did what I did. My name is Douglas. I am 30 years old, and I work as a software engineer at a tech company in Austin, Texas. I have always been the type of person who avoids conflict. I would rather swallow my pride than get into an argument. Some people call that being mature. Looking back now, I think I just never learned how to stand up for myself. My father passed away when I was 15. Heart attack. No warning. One day he was there, the next he was gone. My mother Grace raised me and my younger sister by herself after that. She worked 2 jobs, never complained, and taught me that a real man takes care of his family no matter what. I watched her sacrifice everything for us, and I promised myself I would be the same kind of person. Loyal, hard-working, the kind of man who puts others first. That mindset shaped how I approached relationships. I believed that love meant giving everything you had even if you got nothing in return. I thought that was strength. I did not realize it was actually my biggest weakness. 3 years ago, I met Lauren at a company party. One of my coworkers was celebrating a promotion, and someone invited a few people from outside the company. Lauren walked in wearing a red dress, confident smile like she owned the room. She was 28, worked as a marketing manager at a big agency downtown. Everything about her screamed success. I am not the type to approach women at parties. I am more of a stand in the corner and hope someone talks to me kind of guy. But that night, something pushed me to walk over and introduce myself. Maybe it was the way she laughed or how she seemed genuinely interested in what people were saying. Whatever it was, I found myself standing in front of her before I could talk myself out of it. We talked for 2 hours straight. She was sharp, opinionated, and she did not hold back. When I told her I was a software engineer, she did not give me that glazed-over look most people do. She asked questions, real questions. About my projects, my goals, what I wanted to build. By the end of the night, I had her number and a date scheduled for Saturday. Those first few months were everything I had ever wanted. Lauren was different from anyone I had dated before. She knew what she wanted and she went after it. When we were together, she made me feel like I was the only person in the world. She would look at me and say things like, "You are different from other guys, Douglas. You actually listen. You actually care." I fell hard. Harder than I had ever fallen for anyone. I did everything I could to make her happy. I learned to cook her favorite meals. I planned surprise weekend trips to places she mentioned wanting to visit. I showed up at her office with flowers just because. Every time I saw her smile, I felt like I was doing something right. After 6 months, things started to shift in ways I did not notice at first. Lauren got comfortable with my efforts. The surprise dinners became expected. The flowers were no longer special. She stopped saying thank you, and when she did, it felt like an afterthought. I met her family around the 8-month mark. Her parents lived in a big house in the suburbs. Her father was a retired executive, her mother a former socialite who still acted like one. Her older brother, Brandon, ran some kind of investment firm. They were wealthy, polished, and they looked at me like I was a stain on their expensive carpet. I remember shaking her father's hand and feeling like I was being evaluated. Her mother asked where I went to school, what my parents did for a living. When I mentioned my mother was a nurse who raised me alone, something flickered in her eyes. Disappointment, maybe, or pity. I could not tell which was worse. Brandon barely acknowledged me. When Lauren introduced us, he just nodded and went back to his phone. At dinner, he made a comment about how software engineers were a dime a dozen these days. Everyone laughed except me. I told myself it did not matter. I was not marrying her family. I was marrying Lauren. I just had to prove myself through my actions, and eventually they would see my worth. After 2 years together, I decided it was time. I had been saving for months, cutting back on everything to afford the ring I knew Lauren wanted. 2 carats princess cut platinum band. It cost me almost 3 months of salary, but I did not care. She deserved the best. I planned the proposal for the restaurant where we had our first date. I reserved the same table, ordered the same wine. When the moment came, I got down on one knee in front of everyone. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear myself speak. Lauren said yes. The whole restaurant applauded. But here's the thing that stuck with me. The first words out of her mouth after she said yes were not "I love you" or "this is perfect." She looked at the ring, tilted it in the light, and said, "The ring is smaller than I expected, but okay." I laughed it off, told myself she was joking. That was just her sense of humor. But something inside me felt hollow. We started planning the wedding almost immediately. Lauren had a vision, a big vision. 300 guests, destination venue designer, dress, live band. Every time I looked at the budget, my stomach turned. But I kept saying yes. Yes to the expensive caterer. Yes to the overpriced photographer. Yes to everything she wanted. I should have paid more attention to the warning signs. They were everywhere. I just refused to see them. Lauren started comparing me to other men. Casually at first, like she was just making conversation. Kevin just got promoted. He is only 29. My friend Sarah's husband bought her a new car for her birthday. Did you see the house that Jessica's fiancé just bought? I would nod and change the subject, pretending it did not bother me. But it did. Every comment felt like a small cut, and the cuts were adding up. She stopped thanking me for anything. When I cooked dinner after working a 12-hour day, she would eat in silence and then point out what I could have done better. When I planned dates, she would find something to criticize. The restaurant was too crowded. The movie was boring. The drive was too long. One night I came home exhausted. I had been debugging code for 10 hours straight, and all I wanted was to sit on the couch and close my eyes for a few minutes. Lauren looked at me and sighed. "You are always tired. It is so annoying." That was it. No, "How was your day?" No, "Is everything okay?" Just annoyance that I dared to be human. My best friend Marcus noticed the changes before I did. We had been close since college, and he knew me better than almost anyone. One day over lunch, he looked at me with concern in his eyes. "Bro, she talks to you like you are her employee, not her fiancé." "Is everything okay?" I made excuses. "She is just stressed with work. Planning a wedding is hard. She does not mean it like that." Marcus did not push, but I could tell he was not convinced. Neither was I, if I am being honest. I just was not ready to face the truth. The shift from subtle dismissal to outright control happened so gradually that I almost did not notice. Lauren started managing our finances. She suggested we open a joint account, which made sense for the wedding expenses. But then she wanted my entire paycheck deposited there, and she would be the one managing it. "I need to know where our money is going, Douglas. You are not good with budgets." Suddenly, I had to ask permission to buy anything for myself. A new pair of shoes, lunch with Marcus, a video game I had been wanting. Every purchase required justification. Every expense was scrutinized. Then she came after my appearance. "Your shirts are so boring. You need to dress better. Why do you still wear those old sneakers?" By the end of the month, half my wardrobe was gone, replaced by clothes she picked out. Clothes that did not feel like me. The hardest part was losing my friends. Lauren did not like Marcus. She said he was a bad influence, that he was jealous of our relationship. She made it clear that the time I spent with him was time I should be spending with her. "You need to grow up, Douglas. Playing basketball every weekend is a waste of time." So I stopped. I stopped seeing Marcus. I stopped playing basketball. I stopped doing anything that brought me joy outside of my relationship with Lauren. I told myself it was temporary. Once we were married, things would balance out. The disrespect became public. At family dinners with her parents, Lauren would tell stories that made me look foolish. "Douglas still does not know how to pick wine. I have to order for him every time. Douglas got lost on the way here. Can you believe he still uses paper maps on his phone?" Everyone would laugh. Her mother would shake her head with that pitying smile. Brandon would smirk, and I would sit there, forcing a smile, pretending it was all in good fun. One afternoon I came home early from work. Lauren did not hear me come in. She was on the phone with one of her friends, and I could hear her voice from the kitchen. "Honestly, he is lucky to have me. Without me, he would be nobody. I am basically doing charity work here." I stood frozen in the hallway. My chest felt like someone had reached in and squeezed my heart. I wanted to confront her. I wanted to walk in and demand to know how she could say something like that about the man she was supposed to marry, but I did not. I quietly backed out of the apartment and drove around for an hour, trying to convince myself I had misheard, trying to find any explanation that did not mean what I knew it meant. My mother came to visit a few weeks later. I had not seen her in months. Between work and Lauren, I barely had time for anything else. When she walked into my apartment, she stopped and looked at me for a long moment. "Son, you look tired. Really tired. Are you eating enough?" I told her I was fine. Work was busy. Wedding planning was stressful. The usual excuses. We spent the day together and Lauren joined us for dinner. I watched my mother's face as Lauren spoke. The way Lauren interrupted me. The way she rolled her eyes when I told a story. The way she corrected me in front of my mother like I was a child who did not know any better. Before she left, my mother hugged me tight. When she pulled back, there were tears in her eyes. "Douglas, love should make you feel stronger, not smaller. Remember that." I nodded and said I understood. But I did not. Not yet. Kyle was a senior developer on my team. He was 10 years older than me, divorced, and he had a way of seeing through people that was almost unsettling. He started noticing that I was not myself. Missing deadlines, distracted in meetings, eating lunch alone at my desk instead of joining the team. One day he sat down across from me in the break room and looked me straight in the eye. "Man, what is going on with you? And do not tell me nothing because I have been watching you fall apart for weeks." I do not know why, but I told him. Maybe I was tired of pretending. Maybe I just needed someone to listen. I told him about Lauren. About the comments. About feeling like I was never good enough, no matter what I did. Kyle listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. "I was in a relationship like that once. Lasted 5 years. I kept thinking if I just tried harder, if I just loved her better, things would change. They never did. I thought I was being a good partner. Turns out I was just being a doormat." That word hit me like a punch to the gut. Doormat. Is that what I had become? The worst night came on Lauren's birthday. I had been planning for weeks. I booked her favorite restaurant, invited all her friends and family, bought her a gift I thought was meaningful. It was a silver bracelet with both our names engraved on it, and the date we met. I even wrote a speech about how much she meant to me. The party was going well until Brandon arrived. He walked in carrying a shopping bag from some designer store. Inside was a handbag that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Lauren's face lit up when she saw it. She hugged her brother like he had just saved her life. "Brandon, this is the best gift ever. Oh my God, I have wanted this forever." Then it was my turn. I handed her the small box, my heart pounding. She opened it, looked at the bracelet, and her smile faded. She tilted it in the light, read the engraving, and then set it aside on the table. "It is cute, I guess." No hug. No acknowledgement of the thought behind it. Just dismissal. Brandon leaned over to look at the bracelet and laughed. "Nice try, buddy." I sat there for the rest of the night watching Lauren show off her new handbag to everyone, my bracelet forgotten on the table. I had never felt so small in my entire life. 2 weeks after the birthday party, everything changed. I was looking for my phone charger in Lauren's purse when I saw her phone light up. A message from someone named Derek. I know I should not have looked, but something told me I needed to see. I scrolled through the messages. Dozens of them. Flirty comments. Inside jokes. Heart emojis. Nothing explicitly crossing the line, but close enough that my stomach turned. "You are so funny. I wish I could talk to you more. Your smile made my whole day. When are we going to get coffee again?" I confronted her that night. I tried to stay calm, but my voice was shaking. "Who is Derek?" Lauren's reaction was not guilt. It was anger. She snatched her phone from my hand and glared at me. "So now you are checking my phone? Seriously, Douglas, you are so insecure. This is exactly why I need to talk to other people. Because you are suffocating me." I asked her to explain the messages. She refused. Instead, she turned it around on me. Every flaw, every shortcoming, every failure came pouring out of her mouth like she had been saving them up for years. "You do not make enough money. You are not ambitious. My friends all have husbands who are actually going somewhere in life. Do you know how embarrassing it is to tell people what you do for a living?" I stood there, absorbing every word. Each one was a knife. And then she said it. The words that changed everything. She crossed her arms, tilted her head, and smiled. Not a warm smile. A cold, cruel smile. You think you are my only option. She let the words hang in the air. I could have anyone I want, Douglas. Anyone. You should be grateful I chose you. I felt something shift inside me. Like a rope that had been stretched too tight for too long finally snapping. All those years of bending over backward. All those times I swallowed my pride. All those moments I told myself things would get better. They were never going to get better. And I was done pretending. For the first time in 3 years, I did not react the way she expected. I did not apologize. I did not beg. I did not try to fix it. I looked her straight in the eye and I spoke calmly. You are right, Lauren. You do have options. She blinked. This was not the Douglas she knew. I continued. But here is the thing you never considered. So do I. Her smile faltered. Just a little. I have spent 3 years trying to be enough for you, Lauren. 3 years of giving everything I had, and I just realized something important. I paused, letting her wait. I was never the one who was not enough. You were. Her mouth opened but no words came out. I reached over and took her hand. Gently, I slid the engagement ring off her finger. She did not resist. I think she was too shocked to move. This ring represents a promise to love and respect each other. You broke that promise a long time ago. I am just finally acknowledging it. Lauren's voice came out sharp. You cannot be serious right now. You are going to regret this, Douglas. You are going to come crawling back. I shook my head. The only thing I regret is not doing this sooner. Then I told her the truth. For the past 2 weeks, ever since I saw those messages I had been preparing, I moved my money into a separate account. I talked to a lawyer about the lease. I found a new apartment. I packed a bag and left it in my car. You thought I was weak because I was kind, I said. You confused my patience for powerlessness. Her face went pale. For the first time since I had known her, Lauren had nothing to say. I picked up the bag I had packed and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard her voice change. The arrogance was gone. Now there was panic. Douglas, wait, please. I did not mean it. We can talk about this. I was just upset. I stopped at the door but did not turn around. 3 years ago, I would have believed you. But I have heard those words too many times. I finally turned to face her one last time. I hope you find what you are looking for, Lauren. I really do. I hope it makes you happy. I opened the door. But it will not be me. I walked out and did not look back. I could hear her calling my name as I got in my car, but I did not stop. I started the engine and drove away, and for the first time in 3 years I could breathe. The first few weeks were harder than I expected. I moved into a small apartment near my office. Nothing fancy. Just a bed, a desk, and a lot of silence. There were nights I could not sleep. I would lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I made the right choice. Second-guessing myself. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should have given her another chance. Then I would remember her face when she said those words. You think you are my only option, the contempt, the absolute certainty that I would never leave. And I knew I made the right decision. Marcus showed up at my door 3 days after I moved out. He did not ask questions. He just handed me a pizza and sat down on my empty floor. I figured you could use some company. We sat there eating pizza in silence, and it was exactly what I needed. My mother called every night. She never said I told you so. She just listened, and when I finally broke down and cried, she stayed on the phone until I was done. It is okay to grieve, Douglas. You lost something. Even if it was not what you thought it was, it still mattered to you. Let yourself feel it. Those tears were different from any I had cried before. They were not tears of sadness. They were tears of release. Slowly, I started putting myself back together. I started playing basketball again. Marcus and I would meet every Saturday morning just like we used to. I joined a gym. I started cooking for myself. I read books that I had put off for years. At work, Kyle noticed the change. Man, you look different. Good different. Like you finally woke up. I had woken up. For 3 years, I had been sleepwalking through my own life, letting someone else tell me who I was supposed to be. Now I was finally figuring it out for myself. About a month after I left, Lauren sent me a message. A long one. She said she was sorry. She said she had been going through a hard time and took it out on me. She wanted to meet and talk. She said she still loved me. I read the message twice. I thought about it for a long time. Then I closed my phone and did not reply. It was not about revenge or anger. I just knew that going back would mean becoming that person again. The person who accepted less than he deserved. The person who thought love meant erasing himself. I was never going to be that person again. 6 months later, I am in a different place. Not just physically, but mentally. I started dating again, though I am taking it slow. More importantly, I know what to look for now. Red flags I used to ignore are impossible to miss. Patterns that used to seem normal now feel wrong. My mother came to visit last month. We sat on my small balcony drinking coffee, watching the sun come up. I am proud of you, Douglas. Not because you left her, but because you finally chose yourself. That is the biggest lesson I learned from all of this. For years, I thought loving someone meant sacrificing everything. I thought being a good partner meant putting myself last. But that is not love. That is erasure. Real love does not make you feel smaller. It does not require you to dim your light so someone else can shine. Real love lifts you up. It makes you more yourself, not less. Lauren asked me that night if I thought I was her only option. She meant it as an insult, a reminder of my place. But the question she should have been asking was different. She should have asked herself if she was worthy of being mine. I sold the engagement ring eventually. Used the money to fly home and spend a week with my mother. Best decision I ever made. These days I do not think about Lauren much. When I do, it is not with anger. She taught me something valuable even if she did not mean to. She taught me that my worth is not determined by how much I sacrifice. It is determined by how much I respect myself. If you are watching this and you are in a relationship that makes you feel small, I want you to hear this. You deserve better. Not because of what you do for someone else, but because of who you are. Do not wait 3 years like I did. Do not let someone convince you that their love is a gift you do not deserve. You are not an option. You are a choice. Make sure whoever is with you understands the difference. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who made you feel like you were not enough? How did you find your strength? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and your experience might help someone else who needs to hear it today. If this story meant something to you, hit the like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next story. And remember, you are worth more than you know. Thank you for being here with me today. I wish you the courage to choose yourself always.